Hello everybody, and welcome to my presentation on what is a sonnet. A sonnet is a piece of poetry 14 lines in length. A sonnet generally takes two conflicting ideas, thoughts, or feelings and presents a defense for each side of the argument. The sonnet can illustrate similarities and possible resolutions between the two ideas, or simply unearth the tension between the two. All sonnets contain what is called the volta, which is Italian for turn. Essentially, this is where the change in subject occurs, and the sonnet now begins to present the other side of the argument and defend the second idea or thought. There are several different forms of a sonnet. The first is known as an English or Shakespearean sonnet. The second is called a Spenserian sonnet, and the third is called an Italian or Petrarchan sonnet. Occasionally someone writes a sonnet that doesn't fit into any of these categories, but we don't really like those people, and so I'm not going to give any lessons on those. The three categories contain similar structures and rhyming patterns, with English and Spenserian being the most closely related. Both of these sonnet types have 3 4-line alternating rhyme sections, and then a final couplet of 2 lines which conclude the poem. English sonnets are broken into 3 sections called quatrains, and the final stanza is known as a couplet. The 3 quatrains contain 4 lines, and each quatrain contains alternating rhymes. The couplet contains 2 lines which rhyme together. So the final pattern of a Shakespearean or English sonnet goes something like this, as you see on the page here. A Spenserian sonnet differs from English sonnets when it comes to the rhyme pattern. It's quite similar. They still contain a 4-line alternating rhyme concluded with a couplet, but the pattern is as follows, as you see here. Finally, the Italian sonnet. Italian sonnets are quite different from the other major sonnet forms. Rather than having 4 different sections or stanzas, an Italian sonnet is broken into 2 stanzas called the octave and the sestet. The octave is the first half, and it has 8 lines, rhyming as you see on the top here. And then the sestet can have a variety of different patterns, but they are all sort of variations of this bottom one that you see here. Now I'm going to read a poem here and illustrate the difference, or illustrate kind of where the volta is and things like that. So, when in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising, haply I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising, from sullen earth sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that I scorn to change my state with kings. So, in this, this is actually an it's an English sonnet, and the volta occurs in line 9, and he uses the word where he switches from with what I most enjoy contented least, yet in these thoughts myself almost despising. So this is where he kind of switches. He's now he's stopped being miserable, and he's thinking, on the other hand, you know, when I think of these things, I really wouldn't change my life for anything. And so in summary, the defining characteristics of a sonnet are as follows. A 14-line poem that compares 2 ideas. It requires a volta or a turn, generally a single word such as yet or but, which changes the subject. These 2 points are really the key to writing a sonnet, and that's all you really need to know to write your own sonnet. Thank you very much.